thought of reselling that on eBay or Craigslist is daunting, to say the least. So, those are the choices. Do we, because if you really wanna go to a studio, we've gotta get rid of that trailer. So that can be
Well,
capped.
we do and we don't, depends on, if we could come up with, funding, look at some of the Channel 9, some of the other stations, I mean, they have sponsors.
Can you give me a percentage of what possibility of getting that funding is? Because I don't think we have
I have
enough
no,
to.
I have no idea, but until you try, you don't know. If you say, well, it's impossible, it'll never happen, well, hey, guess what, it will never happen, and it is impossible. But if you try, it's quite possible you could get funding, and who knows, if we turn it over to some committee and they do get funding, we may be able to turn this over to the Phoenix and more, and get something new. But until we give it a try, nothing, if we don't try, nothing's gonna happen, and that's for certain. No one's just gonna walk in the door and say, here's a studio.
Well, my point is if we try too much, nothing happens either.
Well, that's why we have a committee.
I have a motion to consider.
Okay,
I would like to move that we authorize John to work with Tom Gaffney from the Phoenix Theater on a written agreement to borrow the dimmer pack and light board in exchange for PCA use of the Phoenix facility until and if a studio space is acquired by PCA.
I'll second that.
That's well put. I just want to clarify though, the borrowing is, you know, took $1,600 to get it off the seat. It's gonna cost more to put it up. So, but if he's willing to take that risk,
Right.
then I will negotiate.
okay.
Well,
You
first of
agree?
all, borrowing it means PC is gonna own it all the time, it's gonna be ours, basically. Taking it down in a year, 6 months, 3 years, 5 years, it's gonna take another $1,600, and it's gonna be worth it.
That's up to the committee that decides on the studio space, and if they come up with a studio space, they're gonna have to include that in their fundraising efforts.
My suggestion was probably as part of that to really, the board meet with their board and see, or come up to an agreement pretty much similar to what you're saying, really, and basically, my proposal was, or part of the proposal is, give it to them for $1,600. If the board decides to let him have it, and then give us the permission to do our productions or whenever we need to. Basically, an agreement where we're giving you this that we paid to take it down for $1,600, and all that we're asking is basically to give us the opportunity to do or whenever we need it, to let us use it.
Yeah, I don't think we can negotiate that tonight without someone from the Phoenix here.
Right.
That's why
That's
we're
exactly what
authorizing.
But I have a spectrum between
Yeah.
those two poles,
Right.
and including your pole too.
Sure.
That it leaves open a possibility, and I think I will start the ball rolling with Tom.
Okay,
And with
well, hold
Bruce.
on, we got the motion on the floor, we got the second, but I'd like to hear what the public has to say.
Is this my spot to make a play for the committee?
No.
No.
There's a motion and a second, it's
Okay.
a discussion.
All right, would you take me into consideration at some point this evening, please? Would you, I got.
You know
put
what,
on-
because it wasn't on the agenda, the way
can't
that I
take action.
addressed that is that we,
Actually, I requested it before the revisions of the agenda were made, but go, all right.
right, but
I want-
we can't
You-
take action on items that are not agendized at least 72 hours in advance, and so I want to accommodate you by saying that we have a community relations committee. If John wants to activate that by involving you with some kind of
I actually
community,
want a Phoenix committee, and I want to
we
be
can
able
make
to
a
involve these
subcommittee
people.
off of that at another meeting. And I promise you, I have that on my agenda items for the next
Let's
the
you and
next
I
meeting.
talk about that, because I can factor that into the negotiations around this.
I'm not
Because we would
trying, I'm
even-
not trying to be a liaison between this board and that board. I'm trying to create a committee that I can put kids on and generate interest in the studio with these kids over there.
Okay, well, you can,
So it'll be on the next agenda.
right, on the next
But I'd
agenda,
like to,
correct.
let's talk more about it.
In the meantime,
The
you
fringe.
two will work together on the community relations aspect. And we'll have a recommendation for what you're talking about on our next agenda, okay?
That's fine.
But that's not, this won't,
I figure.
okay. All right. We have a motion and a second, and just to reiterate, that's to empower John to.
It's in writing right there.
Oh, great, okay. To authorize John to work with Tom Gaffney from the Phoenix on a written agreement to borrow the dimmer pack and light board in exchange for our use of the Phoenix facility until and if a studio space is acquired by PCA.
Does that include the option of taking the 1,600 and getting it into it as well?
The agreement is an agreement,
Okay,
so that gives you leeway
Yeah, I
to
don't-
negotiate it the best way you can.
There you go.
It's just that, I think we look at it more like really getting rid of it than getting $1,600 for it. I personally will feel a little bit better for something that we know we don't have, but we're getting the most benefit out of it without using the word borrowing it, because we really, it's not gonna be ours, and it's gonna cost us more trouble and issues, you know.
Yeah, I would
So
prefer-
you work it out the best you
I would
can.
prefer something clean.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so you would take some of the concerns from here over to that board and negotiate it, correct? Okay, okay. Okay, one more comment and then we're gonna call for the question here.
I just want to say that getting this equipment disposed is definitely a high priority. You know, you don't want it to rot. You know, the Phoenix is a good idea. There's other ideas I might think of. The JC has video classes and they're expanding the Petaluma campus. There may be moving more of their video class over there. Kenilworth, they have live TV every morning. They have a studio. They could use some equipment. We're paying storage on it. Maybe there's a member out there that can donate storage, so you don't have to pay storage for it. And at least that would give us more time to think about what the best solution is. Just some ideas.
John, question. Is Mike-
Thank you.
They're just interested in the dimmer boards?
And the unit they're connected to, the plugs.
The gutters? The gutters.
We have
Okay.
the lights to go with it, but that
Okay.
would not be part of the.
I've gotta move this agenda, it's getting really late. Diane,
Okay,
real
really
quick.
short, I just really support what John's trying to do, and since it's so close to City Hall, I think that'd be a really good opportunity maybe for studios sometimes, so I support that, I
Yeah.
hope that can happen.
That's what I'd like the walking distance. Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Aye. Anyone opposed? Abstentions? Okay, that one passes. And 6 is tabled. And item number 7, real simple. We've already received our paperwork, and I also have a note here, speaking of audit, to email all of you the soft copy of the audit that I got from John. I'll also send it to Lisa so that she can make a hard copy for public viewing here. In the meantime, that audit that we just received back was for 2006 through 2007. They were almost a year late in getting that prepared. This is a good thing and a bad thing. The bad thing is that we've got a lot of money to pay for that right now, which should have been budgeted for earlier in the year, but we're gonna figure that one out. The good part is that we just had a parting board that really justifies us having an audit as soon as possible to find out where we are with things, so we'd just like to get support of this board, vote and approve moving forward with the next audit. Maybe we can figure out some kind of terms in the meantime for the, what is it, 7,000 that we owe for the last audit, or has that
No,
been
that was
paid
paid
for?
for the cashiers.
It was paid? Oh, okay, then we're good on that.
Yeah, we're good for that.
Okay, well, we might have to negotiate some terms for this one, but we certainly don't have that 7,000 right now, but can we agree to move forward with getting the documents, okay? You making the motion, Mr. Carmichael?
Yes, I'll move that we move forward
Okay.
on getting the
Four
2007 audit
Thank
completed.
you. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, that passes. We have nothing for closed session, looking for agenda items for the next meeting. I've got 2 pages of stuff that I took notes on tonight. And of course, there will be a calling for agenda items before the next meeting, so if you have anything driving at you right now that you wanna put on here,
Do you want to set up a meeting a little sooner than next week? It's the 19th,
do we wanna do that right now?
I thought we talked about it in a precise situation, and then there's the committees that should be put on. And we can certainly call an emergency meeting.
Okay.
So is there a finance committee? Is there a finance committee?
Yeah.
Richard's gonna
Okay.
prepare it.
And you said there was a community relations,
We have all of these committees that are listed in the agenda, that, these are
No, it's the
some
timeframe.
mandated by our bylaws and some that were,
Oh, for the entries.
Yeah,
and some of these
We'll
committees
post it,
were,
and,
well, she has a show.
yeah,
did we set up that community members
you
committee
can take it.
that
No,
Cassandra
no,
and I
she-
were
Yeah, but I
meeting?
don't
Did you guys not?
Diane, all of the
We'll make
committees
a
are
copy.
listed right here, there's an A through
What is
L.
that? I don't know what that is.
So we got half
That's
the
for-
alphabet worth of
You have to
committees.
wait for
Relations
the show,
Okay,
get
so
nominated,
who's the chair?
people look at your show and then.
All, if you look at your agenda, all of these say to be determined because they became inactive over the last year or two. I put them back on here because I don't wanna lose sight of the fact that members have wanted these committees in the past, and we need to decide,
Because last
I'll
meeting,
agendize that for the,
last meeting Cassandra and I suggested combining a community members advisory committee, and Steve said to bring it for this meeting, so I'm kinda confused. And the reason I'm asking about this is because the policies and procedures we have now address political content programming and things that PCA is supposed to do. So if that, you think that can wait a month, I mean, it's fine.
yeah, I've got down your committee structures as an agenda item for our next
Okay.
meeting. Anything else, folks? Okay, okay, all those in favor? Aye, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
I think you should photocopy this and fill it out, that's what we do. And if you need my signature, I'll sign it.
ever see a meeting.
Good meeting,
It's
everyone.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Oh,
We're on the.
thanks.
Together.
Did you get a copy of the bylaws?
So far,
The ones that I made tonight?
this is called a meeting.
John?
That's called a meeting.
Huh?
This is called a meeting.
If you can take them home after the meeting.
Oh.
And I don't know if I have the next meeting here, because this is kind of, too many chairs and we don't have any place to store them. But thank you for the offer.
Did you ever see her documentary on the little caddy?
No.
Oh, hey, it's a good one. They'll make an award, I'm telling you.
That would be Dan.
They're required.
Okay.